right now. Muy buenos días.
Buenos
¿Cómo
días.
están todos?
Buenos
¿Cómo
días.
están? ¿Bien?
Bien.
Bien.
Bien. Excelente, excelente. Yeah, we had a few technical problems here this morning. I think they are solved. So, but we'll see as we go along. Okay.
Okay.
Aquí vamos. Here we go. Hoy vamos a practicar con una descripción. If you have a couple of items that you would like to describe later, now would be a good time to make sure you've got that handy in case it just slipped your mind, but you can go run and get it quickly. We're going to do a quick answer key on the adjectives from last week before, as a warm up, before you do your little presentations. After that today, I want to check out a little bit about directions and also start to get an introduction to what all those other verbs are about. Okay, vale. I want to answer one question first. Hopefully we've got everybody on. The big question, the big bad question always becomes, if you're going to sign up for another class, what class do you sign up for? And I want to just address that in the first, like 2-minute thing. I found out Thursday night that registration was starting Monday. Yay. So yesterday they started registration for new classes with Scottsdale. All the classes, whether you take Tai Chi or finance or tennis or whatever, whatever it may be. So registration is ongoing now. And all on the website, I'm sure you can go into an office. If you are waiting for a paper booklet, you're going to be waiting a long time.
Yeah.
They did plan to do an actual paper booklet, but if you're one of those people that likes paper, you will not see it, sadly, because supply chain issues, they don't have enough people to mail them out, yada, yada, yada. So don't wait for a booklet. If you need the link, I will send out the link for how to get to the registration page in the email that you get after class. Okay. This particular class that runs on Tuesday mornings is always the exact same thing. So if you were to want to do more Spanish and you sign up for the same Tuesday slot, it will be the exact same thing that you already did. My folks generally, if they're going to do something more, move on into the Monday morning class, which is called Spanish for Beginners, same title, but step two. And it runs 9:30 to 11 Mondays, okay? That is a somewhat big group. I do divide people off into skill levels because some people have more background skills and others do not. And I try to give people, different breakout rooms with people of like abilities, just so you know, okay? But we always cover different things and lots of review stuff. And so if you got any other questions, let me know, email me, we'll clear it up, okay? Vale? Bien?
Bien.
Bien.
Excelente. Bueno, vamos a practicar. We're going to practice. I want to share with you what we're going to look at the answer key for. Perdón. Not quite right. This one.
Yeah.
See? Yeah, we did the first, was it 8 or 9? We did the first 8 last week, right? These are adjectives. Does that make sense? Picking up where we left off. And I asked you to take a look at the end. So that'll be from 9 through the end. There are a couple of tricky ones at the end. If you don't quite get those, no worries. But because there are a couple of somewhat tricky ones with nationalities, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Okay. So we're calling número 9. We're practicing how to call the girls bad people. They're just bad. How to talk about the students being good. The blonde lady is German. That's a tricky one. We'll talk about that in a sec. The kids are blonde. They're all blonde. The women are impossible. All women, all of us. Biology homework. 14, biology. The biology homework, the chunks of homework, because it's more than one, are easy. The clouds are gray. Oh, the Spanish dishes are delicious. Rico can mean both rich or delicious, depending on the context. Elephants are enormous. Grass is green. The grass is green. And the eyes are green. And the girl in the red uniform is athletic. That's the hardest one. The last one is the hardest one. We're going to take a quick look at what the answers are to that. Okay. 9. Las chicas son muy malas. And remember, we're looking at the idea of how do we use the correct form of an adjective. And the form of the adjective has to follow, match, be the same as the noun it talks about. Okay. Adjective that and an o will go into masculine or feminine, an o ending or an a ending, maybe also plural. Adjectives that don't end in o use the same form for both masculine and feminine, unless they're a nationality. So we'll talk about that in a bit. You may have to make them plural. Okay. 9. Las chicas son muy malas. Malas. Bien. Los estudiantes son buenos. La mujer rubia es alemana. And here I've got a whole bunch of things highlighted. This is one of the tricky ones. This is tricky because we told you properly, correctly, that adjectives that do not end in o use the same form for masculine and feminine. However, when an adjective is a nationality and that nationality does not end in o, it does need to slap on an a to give it a feminine form. So, la mujer rubia es alemana. And I'm showing you other nationalities that do the same thing as alemán, German, alemana, German, francés, or francesa. Español has to change to a feminine form of española. And inglés, English, does need to slap on an a to make it inglesa. Some of those are the tricky ones, nationalities that don't end in o. But other adjectives that don't end in o will use the same form, except for maybe needing a plural. Okay. Bien. Lots of adjectives that are nationalities end in o. Chileno, from Chile. Mexicano, from Mexico. Italiano, Italian, right? Bien. Colombiano, Colombian. But others fall into these categories like alemán, francés, español, inglés. Okay. Los chicos son rubios. The kids are blonde. Las mujeres son imposibles. Imposible ends in an e. It's the same for masculine and feminine, but we need to make this one plural because we're talking about women as a category. Las mujeres son imposibles. Las tareas de biología son fáciles. Fácil ends in a l, an L sound. So no change for masculine and feminine, but this las tareas, and that means homework assignments. That's a plural thing. So we need to make fácil ending in an L a plural. Fáciles. Okay. So it won't be feminine and plural, just plural. Bien. Gris, gray, also ends in a word that is not a letter that is not o. It ends in an S, an S. So las nubes son grises. Los platos españoles, we had to make it plural, son ricos. Bien. Los elefantes son enormes. La hierba es verde. No change because verde ends in an E sound, not an O sound. So same for masculine, feminine. But los ojos son verdes. I need to make that one plural. And here's the real kicker. Here's the one that is tricky. We're saying the girl in the red uniform is very athletic. But what we're describing with red is
The uniform.
uniform, not the girl. So the word uniform the word uniform is what the word rico looks at for a match. Okay. La chica en el uniforme rojo. Rojo ends in O. It matches up with el uniforme. But atlética is describing la chica. So that needs to go into a feminine form. Atlética. Atlética. Bien? Okay? Vale? Preguntas, questions. If you've got a question about any of these, shout it out.
I have a question.
Sí, dime.
So I guess the challenge that I had was not only making the adjective plural, but also matching it to the gender of the noun. Is that the challenge?
That is the challenge. That is a challenge. Tienes razón. You have right. Tienes razón. You are correct. That is the challenge. So now the question becomes, is it a big deal or not to get that wrong? Is it a big deal or not? Well, I'm kind of a mixed answer. More important to get the actual vocabulary word right. Yeah. Maybe, okay, on the scale that reaches up to here, getting the gender wrong, maybe down to here. At least if you get the word right, they know what you mean. But will it sound funny to them? Yes. If you say, por ejemplo, you're describing a brunette girl. Mi amiga, mi mejor amiga, my best friend, mi mejor amiga es moreno. People will kind of do a blink and think about it because they're saying in their brain, why are they calling a girl by a male description? Is there something about her we should know is changing? Don't know. Okay, so it will hit them as off. So it's more important to get the vocab word right with adjectives, and that comes with, like, the more you do more Duolingo, the more you read in the book, the more adjectives you acquire, and the more listening you do to little stories and such, the more you acquire. So more important to get the word right. Yeah. If something is hard and you really want to call it a hard thing, difícil, hard, not fácil, easy. Yeah. Eso es. Does that help a little? See? Will that be a challenge? Yes. It's a challenge because your brain is wired to not do any of that in English. And your brain is wired your whole life to not do that. If you have other languages under your belt, it's kind of like, oh, I just learned a different way to make that change. But if you don't have other languages under your belt, yeah, it's tough because many, many languages do gender.
And the adjectives and the adjectives come after the noun as well, which is the trifecta of
that's a
brain twist minder binder.
It is. It is also a trifecta. So red cars, the red cars becomes los carros rojos. Those, plural, cars, okay, normal, reds, the cars reds. That's the way people talk. But it doesn't sound right to us because for English, it isn't right. You would never say those cars reds. People would look up, what the hell is wrong with you? Yeah. Yeah, because we don't say that. Well, okay, so we have to just accept that's the way that rolls. And you do your best to make those things fit together. And when people listen to you speak, they will know you're going to make some mistakes. Now, fortunately for you, most people in Latin culture are really pretty accepting of the errors, and they can just kind of kindly smile and help you out. And it's not the pat you on the back, gee, you dummy kind of smile, isn't? They just understand it's hard that you guys don't, you guys don't have that, right? And they'll try to understand you, but your goal is to make yourself understood rather than confuse the person you're talking to. At the stage you guys are all at, very, very honestly, it's very hard for you to produce and speak and use accurate everything all lined up. You are going to make mistakes. So essentially what you got to do is let it go and make those mistakes and be okay with it and learn how to jiggle it and fix it as you go along. That's the fact. You're not going to speak and be perfect all the time. You're just not. Unless, wow, you're Mensa material. Well, then good for you. Okay. Bien?
Yeah.
So make those mistakes, let it go. But, and what will happen is I will not just like correct you like that, but I may repeat the same sentence back at you set up the right way. So pay attention when I repeat it back to you. Okay? Vale? Vale. Okay. Any of you have some items to describe? Como por ejemplo, esta es mi taza favorita. Es mi taza favorita para tomar café por la mañana. Es una taza roja. Es una taza, no es ni grande ni pequeña. Es mi taza roja de Capitol Reef. Es mi taza roja de Capitol Reef. Es una taza de cerámica. When I talk about what it's made out of, I have to say de cerámicas, because cerámica is not a description, it's a material. So it's a thing. Okay. Bien. Bien. Okay. Vale. Who's got a thing and they'd like to describe something? Or a couple.
I will.
See,
I'll get it over with.
Karen will let you get it over with first. Get that anxiety out. And then
Yeah, that's right. Okay. This is mi chaquete es azul y larga. Este chaquete es cómoda, es bonita, mas no caro.
Y no carro, no es carro, no es cara, no es cara, chaqueta. La chaqueta,
okay.
la chaqueta, una chaqueta larga, azul, no es muy cara. Perfecto. Muy bien. Hiciste bien. Okay.
Gracias.
You did well. Hiciste bien. You did well. Jenny, dinos algo. Tell us something. Oh, and you're on mute. So you'll need to take yourself off of mute so we can hear you.
Okay. Okay. Es mi taza tiene calor y tiene frío. Me gusta mucho frío. No me gusta calor.
Okay. Okay. This one's a little bit complicated.
Yeah.
It has. It has warm drinks and it has hot drinks. So we're going to have to say it has.
Which is tiene. Right?
Tiene.
Yeah.
Tiene bebidas, drinks.
Oh.
Tiene bebidas calientes
Okay.
y bebidas frías. But notice what happens. Bebida, a feminine word for drink. We need bebidas calientes, plural,
Yes.
bebidas frías.
Frías.
Bien.
Okay.
You had kind of a hard one because it was like, what's inside of there was what we're going for, right? See, Jenny?
Right.
But see, these are all things you pick up as you go along. Está bien, está bien. Okay, ¿quién más? Who else? Mark, dinos algo. Tell us something.
Yo tengo un béisbol y un baloncesto.
Ah,
Baloncesto.
una pelota. There are a lot of words for ball. Pelota is one.
Just in English now for a second. In the book, the translator for basketball was baloncesto. So
Baloncesto, sí.
el baloncesto es grande.
Galo.
El béisbol es pequeño.
Okay.
Y el béisbol es blanco. Oh. I think I lost. Here we go. Y el baloncesto es anaranjado.
Anaranjado. Okay.
Anaranjado.
Anaranjado. Parece marrón, pero sí. Te creo. I believe you. Sí. Sometimes the
Anaranjado.
camera
Oh,
changes the
orange.
color a little bit.
Now,
This
Okay.
situation, Mark, is a little bit like the drink situation. Okay. El béisbol refiere al deporte. El béisbol refers to the sport. Y el baloncesto refiere al deporte. It refers to the sport. So how do we talk about the thing that we use to play the sport? It is called la pelota.
Pelota.
La pelota.
So, Mark, I want to see if you can change up just a couple things. I want you to call, and we're going to call it pelota de béisbol,
Okay.
pelota de béisbol, pelota de baloncesto. These are all great things for you to learn how to string together.
Right,
So you're getting many.
So la pelota de béisbol es blanca
Y
Okay.
pequeña,
y pequeña.
y pequeña.
Y
Y la otra, and the other?
la otra es anaranjada y grande.
Excelente.
Grande.
Muy bien hecho, Mark. Very well done, Mark. Okay, so see, now you've got a mini lesson. Ooh, and the mini lesson is, wow, in English, we'll just say a basketball, a baseball, and it's both, yeah? But it's una pelota, it's a ball
It's
of a certain
A base.
sport.
All right.
And a
Mhm.
lot of times you will hear things described with a noun, a thing, with de, like
De.
taza de cerámica. It's made out of a material, right? Or una pelota de béisbol. Una pelota de béisbol, it tells you what sport that ball is for. And de is used a lot, where we will really put in kind of an adjective already, but they'll use a de quite often. Okay, vale, muy
De.
bien. Vale. ¿Quién? Who else? Felipe, take us next.
I'll
Aquí,
Greta.
aquí yo tengo un pañuelo grande. El color de pañuelo es azul y blanco.
Excelente. Es un pañuelo como, sí, exacto. Azul y blanco y es grande, fantástico, muy bien hecho, well done. Vale, bueno,
Okay. Can I go next?
okay, Loretta and then Tom,
Go
¿sí?
next? Okay. La bolsa es negra y nueve fue un regalo de mi hija.
Okay, es un regalo, it's a gift.
Understand?
See?
Okay,
Yeah, there's a
regalo.
Yes.
little lag with your transmission. So we're seeing your speaking and your
My
voice.
transmission is very,
That's okay. Está bien. Okay. Bueno, and you meant new, right?
right, right.
Nuevo.
Nuevo.
New. Remember when we
Nuevo.
smile with the
Yeah.
number. nueve.
Nuevo.
Pero nuevo es otra cosa. So see, there's one of those examples of getting the word right, that it's nuevo, right?
Nuevo.
And not to mistake it because you recently had numbers with nueve. Wait, you had it right, but I'm just saying, this is one of those things where the more important thing is to get that word nuevo right. And
Right.
that's not really getting the ending right. It's getting the word itself right, because nuevo indicates new, but nueve indicates a number. Bien?
I'm having difficulty with the speaking.
Okay, that's all right. Está bien.
Oh my.
Tiempo. It's time. It's time and practice. Y práctica. Tomás.
Sí, este es mi teléfono. Mi teléfono es pequeño, no es grande. Es no naranja, no es rojo, es negro. Y de plástico y vidrio. Me gusta mi teléfono.
Ok, me gusta mi teléfono. Teléfono, sí, teléfono y una palabra nueva, a new word, una nueva palabra para ustedes. Phone, teléfono, sí, bien. Do not shorten it to tele, because tele is short for TV.
Okay.
Teléfono is teléfono, but cell phone, one side of the Atlantic, they've got a special word for cell phone. One, they have a different one, and it follows either the British model or the English model, because of whoever you live closest to. En Latinoamérica se dice celular. Celular. I will write it in the chat box.
Cellular.
El celular. And wow, that's going to sound like lots of la, 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 because it is lots of la, la, la. The word for el término, the term for cell phone is celular. Celular. El celular. El celular. When you look at the end of celular, it's like you can't really tell, is that masculine or feminine? It is a masculine thing. It just happens to be. But el celular. Okay. Vale. If you are in Spain, they do not call it as frequently el celular. They follow the Brit model and they call it el móvil. So I'm going to write how that looks and sounds. El móvil. El móvil. What a short word, móvil. Because mobile. And the Brits use a different word, and they a lot of technology words get are either very close to English, because a lot of those technology words wind up being borrowed. And that happens with a lot of languages, not just Spanish, but many, many languages. El móvil. Will people know in Mexico if you mess up and say móvil that you mean a cell phone? They'll know you mean that, okay? It'll just sound like a Spain type word. They're used to that kind of distinction because they get tourists from all over the world. Okay, vale, bien. ¿Quién más? Who else wants to go next? ¿Quién? Trish.
Yeah.
Tienes un gato.
Esta says Diego.
Diego.
Diego es un gato dulce encantador.
Encantador. Oh, he's enchanting. Sí, claro, es encantador.
encantador.
Diego es muy sweet. I don't know how to say sweet.
Okay.
Oh,
I'll wait for it.
okay. When you look up sweet, it will tell you dulce, but dulce is that kind of sweet. Okay. So sweet, as in for your furry babies, is precioso. Precioso. Precioso, which looks like, it looks like precious. I've got it in the chat box because it is precious. Okay. But they would be, and they might use dulce, but dulce is more often used to talk about food items as being sweet. Precioso. Oh, sí, es precioso.
Diego es un gato negro y blanco y café.
Bien.
Blanco,
And I don't know how to say it, but he likes to sit on. He's in every Zoom class. He likes to sit on my lap.
He likes. The way you say he likes, this is what a great mini lesson. He likes. we got a problem. There is no verb that means to like.
Ooh.
Ah,
Whoa, WTF, what do I do? There is no verb that means to like. And your books will tell you this verb means to like. No, no, no. There is no verb that means to like. However, there is a totally different verb. And this other verb is used where we would use to like. So it is used to express the same idea of like. I'm going to put it on a little screen
yeah.
because esto
I
es
see it.
importante. This is actually a big deal thing. I am so glad somebody brought this up.
Can help.
Sí. Okay. No tiene nada que ver con adjetivos. It has nothing to do with adjectives, pero es importante, but it is important. There is no verb that translates exactly to like. Oop. And my different keyboards in different languages, I can never get the punctuation right. There in different keys all the time. My brain goes into a complete brain fart shutdown. Okay. However, here's what they use instead. Gustar. Gustar.
Gustar.
Gustar. Oh, remember way back for, oh, mucho gusto. Mucho gusto. Remember that? Mucho gusto?
Yeah.
Mucho gusto means much pleasure. Much
Mhm.
pleasure. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So gustar means to be pleasing. That's the closest they can come. So
Okay.
this book, every book you say, sometimes they actually do flat out tell you, well, it doesn't really mean to like, but that's the closest we can come. Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
If you want to bump it up a level, like you want to make it more intense, not I like it, but I love it, there is a
Mhm.
different word.
Word.
And that different word to bump it up is encantar, to
Encantado.
love a thing or to love an activity. And it means to enchant. I know that sounds really, really crazy. Encantado is also
Encantada.
encantado. Oh, delighted. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a pleasure.
Encantar means to delight, to
Yeah,
enchant,
it's a
to
pleasure.
love. It means to enchant, but that's when they use it to love. So, okay, there's one thing you got to watch out with gusta or gustar or encantar. All verbs in Spanish. Oh, you saw ser, and it went and ser to be was soy, eres, es,
Es.
somos, son, right? Estar was estoy, estás, está, estamos, están. Oh, tener had tengo, yo,
Mhm.
tengo,
Mhm.
tienes, tiene, tenemos, tienen.
Tienen.
Gustar and encantar do not follow that model.
Mm.
Here, there are only two verbs you can use. Well, that's not quite true, but here's what you're going to hear people using. Gusta or gustan, encanta or encantan. These are what some people like to call backwards verbs. Backwards meaning the thing that you like is way at the end of the sentence. So if I want to say my cat likes to be next to my computer,
Mhm.
right? That's what you want to say. My cat likes to be near the computer. I would have to say it this way, and I'll show you probably in about 2 lessons why it does this. For right now,
Okay.
you have to just accept it on faith that
Okay.
this just is this way. I would say le gusta estar cerca de la computadora. Le gusta estar cerca de la computadora. He likes Location, because he's
Alright.
hanging out, right?
Estar.
He likes to be near the computer.
To be.
Le gusta.
He likes.
He likes, and here's what it really means in this order. This is why you just have to accept it's le gusta. And here's how I want you to think about this. Think about it as le gusta, le gusta. If you want to say he likes, you say these two words, le gusta. If you
Le
want to say she
gusta.
likes, you will just the same way say le gusta. Okay.
Gusta.
And here's the
He
thing that
likes,
likes.
she
If you
likes.
translated it literally, it would mean this. To him, it is pleasing to be near the computer. We don't say that. Again, people be looking at you. What the hell's wrong with you? No, we don't talk that way, right? Le gusta. If you want to say, I like to be near the computer, me gusta estar cerca de la computadora. Okay. So, me gusta is I like, is what they use for I like.
Mhm.
For you like, it'll be te gusta.
Te gusta.
For we like, it'll be nos gusta.
Nos gusta.
For they like, it'll be les gusta.
Mm.
These little pronouns are not the same as the yo, tú,
Mhm.
él, ella, usted, nosotros. Notice this word nos is not an abbreviation.
Okay.
It's got no period at the end of it. It's a different little pronoun. It's related to
Mhm.
nosotros, but it is not nosotros, okay? It's not ellos. We use a different batch, a different kind of pronoun with this particular verb. So, le gusta, he likes, me gusta, I like, not me gusto. Here's the problem. Me gusta would mean I am pleasing to myself.
Oh,
Get you lots of very weird looks.
yeah.
Okay. Te gusta, nos gusta. Sometimes that word instead of gusta will be a plural verb of gustan. That's if the thing that is liked, not the person who likes, if the thing that is like is more than one. So, me gustan los libros de español. Me gusta el libro de español. Me gusta. Oh, me gustan. Gustar is an odd verb. It does not follow the rule that all the other verbs follow, or most of the other verbs follow. But he likes to sit out there. Le gusta estar
Mhm.
cerca, ¿sí? Le gusta sentarse. He likes to sit. Le gusta sentarse enfrente de la cámara.
Oh,
Enfrente de la cámara. Ah, le gusta sentarse. Sentarse
Oh, la
enfrente de la
Enfrente.
cámara.
la cámara.
Bien. Okay, Felipe.
And te gusta is for plural too? Plural
No.
you?
No, te gusta is one you. Les gusta is you guys like.
Les gusta.
Ah, yeah. If I ask all of you, because I see many faces on the screen, and I say, hey, you guys like coffee too? ¿Les gusta el café? ¿Les gusta el café también?
Sí.
¿Les gusta el café también? Sí. That's how that works. Okay. And we'll talk about that in about, not next week yet, but the week after, because that follows a different set of little rules. Okay. Vale. Muy bien, muy bien. A ver. Okay. ¿Quién más? Who else? Who else has got something to show, say, tell? Jenny. And you'll need to take yourself off of mute, Jenny, so that we can hear your voice.
I'm on my cell phone and I was going to show my cell phone.
Ah!
So
I already did that.
Es
But I
un
have a
problema
nice little
pequeño.
sentence about it. I have a sentence I wrote about it, which is mi teléfono el celular es verde y tiene aplicaciones muchos difícil.
Muy difíciles.
Muy difíciles.
Muy difíciles.
muy.
Tiene aplicaciones o apps. Se dice apps. There's one of those words they can borrow. Sí. Muy difíciles. Ok.
Sí.
Bien. Me gusta.
Difíciles.
Fantástico. Algo más. Anybody else got something they want to describe? Renee. Bien. Oh,
Thank-
Disappearing.
sabemos, we know.
Tengo un libro. Es gris y pequeño.
Pequeño.
Y muy simple. How do you say
Okay.
simple? ¿Cómo se
Sí.
dice simple?
Muy sencillo. Sencillo.
Sencillo.
There are a bunch of words for simple, actually. Could be simple. Sencillo. Easy to use. Do you want to say easy to use?
Just like
Usar.
plain.
Okay. And the reason I ask that is that it's different. Ooh, yeah. Easy to use would be fácil, that easy word you saw in the homework. Fácil de usar. Es fácil de usar.
Usar.
Yeah. But if it's just like a plain model, like doesn't have lots of bells and whistles, yeah, then es sencillo. Es sencillo, or you could use simple. Bien,
Simple.
bien. Wow, all kinds of mini lessons in this one lesson. Fantástico. Okay. Tengo una cosita más. Tengo una botella. Tengo una botella. Es una botella azul de plástico, una botella muy barata, really cheap. Es para castigar. This is for punishment. Es para castigar mis gatos. ¿Sí? Cuando caminan en la computadora. Y les castigo. I am less nice, only when they walk on that computer. Okay. Pueden estar aquí conmigo, no pueden caminar en la computadora. Okay, bien. Excelente. The whole adjective thing, guys, you will just learn more and more as you acquire more vocabulary, as you hear more stories. And I will send you yet another little story. I'm just going to share with you this one. I hope you all listened to this little story about the guy with the hut. See, from last week.
Yeah.
Recuerdan, remember?
Mhm.
See? Okay.
Yeah.
The more you hear little stories like that, that is what we in the business call input. And you'll start to acquire more vocabulary of, oh, here's a word that means this, because they'll always tell it in very short stories, super easy to understand. They will sound kind of baby-like, but well, they kind of are, because that's the way you need to acquire. That's the pace you have to have. All of us have to have to acquire that information. Bien. So I'll send you a little story like that cada semana, every week. And you don't need to understand every single word of those little videos. You just need to acquire some more vocabulary with the little short stories. Bien. Okay. Directions. We're going to switch gears. A menos que tengan otra pregunta, unless you've got some other question. No?
No.
Nada. Okay, vale. Okay. Vale, vamos a hablar de otra cosa. We're going to talk about another thing. We're going to talk about another two things. We're going to talk a little bit about directions. You had some information about directions in the book, en el libro. This is kind of a tricky topic, although it is without a doubt a survival topic. So we're going to take a look at what was in this chapter, el capítulo 6, chapter 6, because what's in it again is something that is going to be, it's a little tough to practice when you're not actually walking around. You know, it's just one of those things. But I'm going to give you some things that will maybe help. The other tricky thing is that with directions, a lot of times we want to ask directions. Literally, when you look up videos on it, they will talk about how to give directions. Let's face it, you're not going to be given anybody, you're not going to be given anybody directions. Seriously, you're going to tell them how to get somewhere? No. What you want to know is how to get somewhere. Okay. So you need to know how to ask directions. You don't need to know diddle squat about giving a direction because you're the one who needs help when you're traveling. Okay. But what are the important words that you need to know? Okay, we're going to have yet another little curveball thrown in at us in that, sadly, there are a lot of different vocabulary words that people might use. And I'm going to give you another video to watch later in the week that will, I didn't give it as the first video with directions because they kind of tend to get a little more complex with it. And I didn't want that one to be the first one that you learn from. So here's one of the difficulties. There are different verbs that could be used to say turn. Seriously. And then you say, well, why did they do that? Well, because in English too, what happens when you ask for directions? Somebody might choose to say turn right. They might choose to say hang a right. They might choose to say take a right. They might choose to say go right. Oh, shoot. We all do that no matter which language. So we run into this difficulty of, again, it becomes a great big vocabulary issue. But I'm going to send you this. So don't feel you've got to write all these down. I will send this to you. There are different vocabulary like chunks that you should start to get familiar with. Okay. So first of all, if you're ever traveling, always have el plan. Always have el plan is a word for a map. They may call it el mapa. They may call it el plan, just like the word plan. Okay, el plan. And when you go to a hotel, they generally give you a walking map. You know, it'll show like the 5 miles around the hotel or the 1 mile around the hotel, whatever size it may be. Always go armed with a map. Okay. And that way, when you ask for directions somewhere, someone will also be able to help. And always remember that little video we gave you, 7 words and 3 questions. Yeah. But there are other vocabulary words that will be helpful to you. So words that will ask, and you can see my vocab list here, right? See, pueden ver, you can see. See, okay.
Sí.
Vale. Words to ask where something is located. There are different ways you can ask where is something. So here's what you want to know first of all. How do I say where is blah, 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 right? If you're not too particular, like you want to say any old pharmacy, any old grocery store, right? Any old one, if you don't care what kind, right? You can just say donde hay una farmacia, but it always has to use una. Donde hay una farmacia? Donde hay una tienda de comida? Where's a food store? Okay. That's if you're not too
Donde.
particular, any old one. But if you're asking for a specific place, or for example, let me go back to donde hay. Donde hay taxis? Where are there taxis? Because you need to get a taxi to get out of the airport. You don't care which taxi, just get me a taxi. Okay. Yeah, that's what we mean by saying if you're not too particular, right? If you don't care which one, it's not a specific thing. Donde hay taxis que van a la ciudad? Where are there taxis that go to the city? Okay. But
Donde.
if you want a specific thing, if you, I can type, clearly haven't had enough caffeine today. If you want a specific location, and you're going to be using the word the with it, maybe, then this is the one you want. ¿Dónde está? ¿Dónde está? ¿Dónde está el Hotel Marriott? Where's the Marriott Hotel? Because you don't want any old hotel. Your reservation is in the Marriott. ¿Dónde está el Hotel Marriott? ¿Dónde está el hotel? And the key is where the other one used un, this one is going to use el or la or los or las, right? It's going to use one of those. It's going to use the word. ¿Dónde está? ¿Dónde está la calle 8? Where is 8th Street? ¿Dónde está la calle 8? You need to get to 8th Street. All right. Now, here is another verb they may use instead of está. The person you're talking to, because they just feel like it, may use a different verb that isn't está. But lucky for you, it ends in an a. And that means it's talking about one thing, and that is a verb called queda. ¿Dónde queda? ¿Dónde queda? Queda is an equivalent to está. So if you hear somebody say back, you ask, ¿Dónde está el Hotel Marriott? And they reply back to you, queda en la calle, queda en la Avenida de la Gloria. It's on Avenida de la Gloria. They may choose to use a different verb, not está, but queda. Just know queda is the same thing, can be used as the same thing. It isn't always, but it can be used as the same thing for está. Bien? Because when you ask for directions, what happens is people are talking at you a mile a minute, right? And you need to ask them, you need to ask them, habla más despacio, por favor. Speak more slowly, please. Right? Or you need to ask, repita. Well, repite if it's for, res. We didn't want that. Repita, por favor. Repeat, please, right? Right? Okay. ¿Dónde está? Or you can ask, ¿dónde queda? Right? You may choose to say, I'm looking for, not where is, but I'm looking for. Busco, and then you name the thing. Busco. Now notice that está ends in an a and busco ends in an o. Busco ends in an o because it indicates that here's the person looking. I am the person looking. Whenever you talk about yourself doing something, that action will end in an o. That O is not a masculine O. It's a verb O.
Mhm.
Busco is not a description. Busco is not like rojo, is not like blanco, is not like negro. It's not like grande. Busco is a verb. It's talking about an activity. Activities can't be masculine or feminine. Activities tell that somebody is doing this thing. And busco tells somebody, I am the human being who is doing this. So it's not a masculine word at all. Verbs cannot be masculine or feminine. Descriptions can be masculine or feminine. Things can be masculine or feminine, but actions don't have gender. So when you hear an it means I'm doing it always. Busco. Busco el hotel. Busco un restaurante barato. I'm looking for a cheap restaurant. Busco una tienda de recuerdos. I'm looking for a souvenir shop.
Okay.
Busco el hospital. God forbid, I'm looking for the hospital, but you know, yeah. Busco, you can use to say, I'm looking for, and somebody knows that you need help when you say that, even though you're not asking a question, right? Busco. Here is the other question, and this is an honest to goodness question. It is the question that formally says, how do I get to? And for this set of direction questions, I need the word how. How is what we call an interrogative. It is a question word. Who, what, when, where, how, why. Those are question words or interrogatives. And the interrogative here is the word how, como. And como llego a means how do I arrive at? But that's how they would express, you know, we in English wouldn't say, how do I arrive at this restaurant? No, we would say, how do I get to? Or how do I go to? Right? Or how do I find? The way you express that in Spanish very frequently is como llego a. Como llego a, and then you name the place. Como llego al hotel. Yeah. Como llego al hotel Marriott. Como llego a la oficina Borbón. Como llego al museo. How do I get to the museum? Okay. Como llego a. And the llego, just like busco, is a verb that ends in o. Llego ends in o. It's telling people I want to do this activity. Busco, I'm looking for, right? Llego, I want to get to. So I want everybody to try to say the word just busco.
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 Busco. Busco, I'm looking for. Okay. But como llego a.
Como
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 llego a.
llego a. Como llego a. How do I get to? Okay. And of course, somebody will start talking back at you pretty darn fast after that. Okay. Bien? That little video I sent you with Maria, where, you know, the poor little backpacking girl, like suddenly her eyes bulge like, oh my God, I have no idea. Right. But you're listening for snippets of words. You're listening for snippets of words so you can get the gist, the general idea. And if you need to tell somebody to repeat again, you're going to say this, repita, por favor, right? Repita, por favor. If you need them to say it again, don't be afraid to use that. Okay. What somebody will come back at you with might be a variety of things. You ask, ¿cómo llego al Museo de Arte? How do I get to the art museum? ¿Cómo llego al Museo de Arte? Okay. You want to know how to just get to the downtown of a place. ¿Cómo llego al centro? ¿Cómo llego al centro? How do I get to the downtown district? Centro, center of town is el centro, downtown area.
El
Okay.
centro.
El centro.
Centro.
And people may throw at you if they're being very friendly, ba or vas, which is go, but they may turn it into a command, and it'll be vaya if they're talking to one person. But if you're with your significant other, they're going to use the plural, you guys idea. Vaya or vayan means go, go. Okay. They may choose to say continue or keep going, which will be one of these words. It'll be either sigue, which means keep going, or siga, which is a polite. Yeah, sigue is the informal. If you're under 20 or in your 20s, talking to people in your 20s, they'll use sigue, because 20 somethings, when they talk to each other, use tú. They don't bother with that usted crap. No, because they're all in their 20s. Okay. If he's a cute guy, he may be hoping for a date. You don't know. That happens. Okay. But if you're, 30-ish or older and they're speaking to you, they'll be polite and they'll say, siga, keep going. Sigan, more than one of you, keep going. Anytime you hear after an action, a verb or a na at the end, it's a you guys form. So sigan, keep going, right? They may actually, you may say, I'm in luck, and they'll use what we call the cognate. Oh, it sounds like our word continue. Continua. Continue. There's the polite. Continúen. You know what? I don't think they'll use that one with you, but they might. Here are the two that I think they're probably going to use. If they want to say go, it's either going to be vaya or sigue or siga. It's going to be one of those two, probably. Okay. If what they mean is go straight, sadly, there are two words that mean straight. They'll either say siga derecho, or because they feel like it, siga recto. Siga derecho, siga recto. If they want to be really fancy about it, they might throw in the word todo in front of that. Siga todo recto. Oh, kind of like we say, oh, it's dead ahead. Dead got nothing to do with it. Yeah. But people say dead ahead. Yeah. Or straight ahead. Yeah. Okay. They might throw in a todo. Just know that's fluff. That's icing. That word todo is icing on the cake. Okay. It's just being emphatic. Siga derecho. Go straight. Siga recto. Go straight. They may just use the word recto, straight. But you want to know these snippet of words so that you know the intention is this direction, guys, that you see my hands doing. Recto, derecho. And notice it's derecho, ending in an o. That means straight ahead. Okay. What if you can't go straight ahead? What if you need to turn? Uh-oh. Sadly, there are 3 different ways to say turn, at least. And there are probably more. But these are the most common that you're likely to hear. Gira is the polite turn. Gira. Think of gyrate. Gyrate is, doing that. Yeah.
Hmm.
Gira is the polite, excuse me. Yeah, is the informal, the friendly. Gira is turn. Gire with an at the end is the more
Okay.
formal turn. Gire.
Okay.
If there are two of you together, they'll talk to you like you're an ustedes couple, right? Giren, turn. Here's
Gire.
another, yeah. Here's another set of words that might be used to say turn. Doblar also means to turn. It also means to fold. To fold. And you know, when you turn, you're kind of folding, I guess. Yeah. Dobla is the friendly turn. Doble is the polite turn. Doblen is the you guys turn. Okay. There is yet another thing that might be used. Dar una vuelta means to give a turn. And people may use this instead of gira, instead of dobla, instead of gire, instead of doble. De una vuelta, ¿sí? De vuelta, da vuelta, de envuelta, ¿sí? And actually, I should have these in the opposite order. Uy, a ver. Da vuelta, yeah. Da vuelta, because there's the informal, and I should keep the order the same with all of these. Bien. So all of those might be used to say turn. Yeah. But here is something just like recto or derecho or recto means straight ahead. These two sets of words won't be different because they're not like verb forms. They're just directions. A la derecha is to the right. A la izquierda.
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 Izquierda. Izquierda is a great big scary word. Let's take a quick, let's step back just a bit. Derecha with an A at the end. A la derecha, literally to the right. A la derecha. And people will try to make it short for you because they know that you don't speak a lot. A la derecha, on the right or to the right. See?
A la derecha.
A la derecha, but notice it ends in derecha because look at how different this word derecho is.
Much different.
Derecho only has one letter that's different, but it doesn't mean the same at all as derecha. Oh, you got to listen really hard. Siga recto, siga derecho is not right. Siga derecho means straight ahead, right? A la derecha. Bien. Always feel free to use hand sign. Yeah. Feel free to use your hands when you're asking with directions. This is what they will do with you too, because they will do that. A la derecha. But here's the scary word. A la izquierda. Let's break down that word izquierda. Is.
Izquierda.
Ki.
Y
Er. Da.
Izquierda.
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 A la
Right?
izquierda.
A la, to the, or on the. A la derecha. A la izquierda.
A la izquierda.
Bien. Okay.
la.
Here is another command somebody may give you. They may say, cross the street. Cross is going to be one of these three. These are commands. Cross is friendly. Cross is cruza. Formal cross is cruce. Hey, you too, cross the street is crucen.
Crucen.
Okay.
Crucen. Cruzar.
All these things
Cruce,
that come in
crucen.
threes, that come in
Mhm.
threes, they are actions. They are commands. They say, hey, you poor tourist, go do that. Go do that. They're commands. So they might take different forms. They might be a buddy command. Cruza la calle. Dobla a la derecha. Gira a la izquierda. Bien, sí. And sigue recto, right? They might be friendly. They might be formal because they don't know you from Adam and they don't want to be rude. It might be siga recto. Keep going straight. It might be gire a la derecha. It might be doble a la izquierda. It might be cruce la plaza. Cross the plaza. Cruce el parque. Cross through the park, right? So they'll use a form, but it'll just have an ending that sounds weird, but the main body of that command will be the same, right? Cruza or cruce. They've got a different vowel at the end, right? But they both mean cross. Okay. And here are other things that are sometimes helpful with directions. Direction words, spatial words that may help you interpret directions people are giving you, because you're not going to say this to people. They're going to be saying it at you. In an actual corner, like a street corner. Okay. Like you want to know where the bus stop is. And they say, it's on that corner. It's on the corner of this street and this street, right? La esquina, the corner. La esquina. La esquina. La esquina. If they want to say something is in fronting or facing, like, these two things are like right facing each other, right? One right in front of the other. It might be enfrente de, it might be delante de, it might be frente a. Frente a is more like in front of or facing something, but enfrente de, that sounds a little bit like in front, yeah. Delante de or frente a. Frente a is more like facing, okay? Right opposite you, okay? Another location word to get you oriented might be the word for traffic light. And the word for traffic light is el semáforo. El semáforo.
Yeah.
El semáforo. There is a highfalutin English word, a semaphore, which we don't use very often, but yeah, there's a highfalutin word that comes from the same root as that. El semáforo is a traffic light. You might hear them use la luz, but you'll hear semáforo. Semáforo is a traffic light. Like go 3 traffic lights, that kind of thing, right? Bien? Okay. Here's another location word. Instead of enfrente de, detrás de. Detrás de. Right? Anytime you hear tras means that direction, a backward direction. It might be expressed as atrás, move back, atrás, or detrás de, detrás de, okay? Here's another location word, entre. Entre means in between, in between. Entre, in between. Okay, between or in between. Here's another important word that will be used a lot when somebody tells you how many blocks to go. A city block is cuadra.
Quadra.
Now they use a different word entirely in Spain, but I think they know in general that this is used in Latin America, cuadra. They call it a manzana in Spain, but it's la cuadra, la cuadra. Tres cuadra. Tres cuadras means you walk 3 blocks. See? Okay. Siga, por ejemplo, siga 3 cuadras y gira a la derecha. Siga 3 cuadras y gira a la derecha. Go 3 blocks and turn right.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Y la calle. La calle is your basic word for street. La calle. La calle. I'm going to try to find for you something that will actually work on a little fake direction, but some of them start to get kind of complex. So I'm not sure I'm going to be successful in finding that, but you never know. Every time you look, sometimes you get a different thing off the search. So if I am fortunate, I'm going to try to find a little
Okay.
exercise for you with that. But it's very, very difficult to mimic that. Just always know, always have your map and just know some of this really general vocabulary. It will always help. It will always help. I do want to do a quick introduction on interrogatives because you have the cómo llego a, you have the dónde, where. This particular chapter I asked you to look for had a lot of interrogative words. These words, these interrogatives, these question words are words that always carry an accent mark when they're written. It doesn't matter to you that much. Just know when you see them written out, they'll always have an accent mark. That is to indicate in writing, oh, hello, I'm a question word, okay? And here are what we generally accept as the question words. Well, here's a whole phrase, a qué hora, at what time, right? Cómo, how, cuál, which literally means which, but sometimes we use it in the sense of what in English. Cuál has a plural form, cuáles. I'll send you an extra little video on interrogatives, and some of these take only one form, like cómo is always just cómo, but cuál might be cuál, or it might be cuáles. It might take a plural form. Cuándo, when, is only that form, cuándo. Cuándo is very similar in meaning to a qué hora. Cuándo asks when, a qué hora asks at what time. A qué hora is more specific than cuándo, right? Cuándo could be asking for a day. It could be asking just for afternoon, right? It's cuándo is more general. Cuánto, this one might have different forms. Cuánto or cuánta. Cuántos might, yeah. Cuánto, how much, okay? So when we have the whole number thing, cuánto cuesta, how much does it cost? Cuánto cuesta, how much does something cost, right? Cuántos asks how many. You want an actual amount, number, right? Dónde, we had with dónde está or dónde queda. ¿Por qué? Why? ¿Qué? What? And quién. Quién also gets a plural form, so it might be quiénes. It's kind of like the Dr. Seuss form, the who's of Whoville. Quiénes means, ooh, you know that there is more than one who in this question, so it might be a plural, quiénes, but just so you kind of know, those interrogative words are quién or quiénes. Okay, bien. So I will send you with a little video that will talk about that, and it'll show you some little examples of how we use them. Okay, bien. Okay, this is a lot of very heavy kind of vocab related, and it's kind of tough. Even if we honestly, even if we were physically in a classroom, for me to use this, I would have to send you out to like go walking places, which is really hard to do.
Mhm.
So I'm going to try to find some kind of, I'm always looking for a good video with directions. We'll send you something with directions, something with question words, so you can kind of hear those used in practice. One thing I do want to preview with the time we've got left is a little bit about this magical word that we had, because you're gonna, no, we don't want that one. Okay. This magical word we had in the question. And the question was, how do I get to? And how do I
Okay.
get to is
Llego.
como
¿Cómo? Llego.
llego a,
Ah.
and then a place, right? Okay. Como llego a. Let's isolate that. Como is just how. You want to know directions. Como, how? How do I get there? But that word llego is really special. And I also taught you another word, busco, is special. Those two words, llego and busco, are both verbs. They are verbs. And verbs are just action words. Okay. So these are exactly like the verbs you used for ser, to be, estar, to be in a place or to feel an emotion, tener, to have something. These are also different kinds of verbs, but they're verbs nonetheless. And these are going to be more, these are more definite than ser and estar, to be. What is that action? But all kinds of, what would be actions in English? Typical actions. Things we do.
Yeah. Run, jump, sing.
Sing.
Mhm.
How do we express the idea of sing in the most general way there is? We say to sing, right?
To sing.
To sing, to talk, to hear, to listen, to read,
Walk.
to write, to learn, to get to a place, to look for an item, right? To find an item, to eat, to drink. All those things are actions. Actions are what we call verbs. And these special verbs, the most general verbs are called infinitives. And infinitive in mathematical terms means it goes on and on. It has no end, right? And something's infinite. But infinitives mean that we express this with the specific words in English: to, eat, drink, read, speak, etc. With that word to eat, to drink, to read doesn't tell me anything about who is doing that, does it? No. Okay. In English, you'll say, I speak, you speak, they speak, we speak. It's all speak, speak, speak. But she speaks, he speaks. English only gets two verb forms: speak, speaks, eat, eats, read, reads. That's it. I need a little pronoun to tell me who's doing that. If you walk up to somebody and say, speaks Italian, who? We've got to plug in a person. In Spanish, you may or may not need to plug in the person because the verb is going to tell the whole story. We're going to have more forms for each one of these things we call an infinitive. We're going to have many more forms, and the verb tells you the whole ball of wax. It tells you the verb goes into a special form. It tells you what the action is, who's doing it, and when they're doing it. Are they doing it now? Did they do it last week? Are they going to do it? The verb tells you all that stuff. We're going to talk only about the present right now, doing things in the present tense. I'm going to ask you next week to read part, but only part, not all, part of chapter 7. You're going to read from desde la página 95 from page 95 through page 98. That's it. Corto, short. Okay. What you are going to read about en el capítulo número 7 in chapter 7, because this is more concrete and we're going to be able to put this into practice a lot. Capítulo 7. You're going to read about what we call AR verbs. AR verbs. Okay. In English, the infinitive always gets this word, the word to. To eat, to drink, to sing, to dance, to spit, to go to the bathroom. I don't care what action it is. It's always got a to, but we have to take out the to. Yeah. We have to get rid of that word to tell, hey, somebody is doing this, and we plug in a person. Okay. In Spanish, infinitives, the infinitive, meaning the to form, will be one of 3 categories. One of 3 categories. It'll be either an AR verb or an ER verb or an IR verb. All verbs that mean to do something will end in an AR or end in an ER or end in an IR. And I'm going to give you some examples of those. You are only going to look at the AR category to prep for next week, because this verb, llego, came from that AR category. And this verb, buscar, comes from that AR category. The AR category, the AR infinitives in Spanish, is the biggest of the 3 categories. A larger percentage of the, probably 60 or 70%, that's big, out of all the verbs in the whole language are going to be AR verbs. So you're going to look at just that. Okay. Here are verbs that end in AR. Llegar. Yay. Buscar. Oh, llegar means to arrive, or we may say it as to get to a place. Yeah. Okay. Buscar means to look for. And for is built into the verb. We don't even say the word for. To look for, to seek out. You don't use seek out that much, right? Wow. Estar was an AR verb, but it's not a regular. Hablar, to speak, is an AR verb. Cantar, to sing, is an AR verb. Manejar, to drive, is an AR verb. Tomar, which means many things. This is a super useful verb. It can mean to take. It can also be used as a synonym for to eat or drink stuff. See? Doblar.
I know.
And girar, to turn, are both AR verbs. So you see where I'm getting at. There are tons and tons and tons of AR verbs. Your book in chapter 7, in those little pages, is going to give you a few examples of very, very common words travelers would need to know, very common actions that travelers would need to use that are AR verbs. They're going to give you escuchar, listen, because people will tell you, escucha, listen up. Yeah. They're going to give you viajar, to travel, hablar, to speak, caminar, to walk, comprar, to buy, pagar, to pay, usar, to use, llegar, to arrive, get to a place, bailar, to dance. Well, depends on how old you are. You may or may not need that. Estudiar, to study. Okay. Those are a few, but they're going to kind of isolate those as things that a traveler may need to say. I'm traveling to a place. I'm paying with a card, not cash. Yeah, you get the picture. There are many, many, many verbs that are AR verbs. I want you to only look at those. And then they're going to give you a chart on page 98, a chart that will show you what happens. I'm going to show you what happens with llegar, because everybody uses hablar and it's overdone. Llegar. The reason it goes into llego is, here's what happens. When I use this verb llegar, I can't use it just as llegar. I need to get rid of this AR ending first. There's rule number one. I have to get rid of the AR at the end. And now I'm going to plug something on the end. It is a verb ending. It is a conjugation ending. And that ending is going to tell who does the action. So I get rid of the AR off of llegar. And if I want to say, I need to get there at 8 o'clock. That's what you want to tell people, right? It becomes this. Llego. Llego. And at the end does not mean masculine, because this is not a noun or an adjective. It is a verb. It is an action. On action words, and o means I'm the one doing it and I'm by myself. Okay. You want to tell somebody, I'll get there at 3. You say, llego a las 3. Llego a las 3. Llego, I'm getting there. A las 3, at 3 o'clock. Okay. If I want to say we're getting there, I take off the AR from llegar and I do an amos. You're going to notice they lead with a vowel. And because they're AR verbs, they're going to lead with a lot of sounds. Oh, llegamos. That's so wrong. I'm sorry. Perdón. Llegamos. Llegamos means we are doing it. I want you to notice somebody. Even though yo llego means I'm getting there, people will drop the yo most of the time. Even though nosotros matches up with llegamos, nosotros, we, llegamos, people will get rid of the nosotros, because llegamos can only mean that we are doing this activity. It can't mean anything else. So why do I even bother with the word we? What's the point? The verb tells you everything. Llegamos, we'll get there. Okay? Bien. You want to talk to somebody, addressing them as you, a friendly you. Llegas. Llegas for tú. As, because it's an AR verb. It leads with an a sound. S at the end tells you it's tú, you, a buddy, you. We're going to skip the vosotros because that's the plural of tú, and you will not need it except in Spain. Okay. To say one person is arriving, it'll be the little naked vowel hanging out by itself. Llega. AR verbs get an a at the end to say this many people. And llega means he's getting there. Llega can mean she's getting there. Llega can mean you, usted, the polite you, are getting there, because él and ella and usted will all share this a type ending to talk about this many people. Okay. And now, yeah, llega, llega. Now, the easy part is to say they're arriving at a certain time. They're getting there. All I need to do is I add an N to the end of the llega form. Llegan. Ellos llegan. Ellas llegan. Ustedes, you guys, llegan. Ah, so this means I'm doing it. Llego. This says you, I'm talking to you, addressing you directly. Llegas. I keep an ah sound because I keep an ah sound there because it's llegar. But I put a s on the end, an s on the end. Llega, only one person doing it. Llegan, a bunch of people doing it, or ustedes, you guys. And then an mos at the end means we. I put the there to tell you it's an AR verb. Llegamos. Bien?
Llegamos.
That's a preview for what's going to happen with AR verbs. There'll be a chart in your book that's going to talk about this. Next week, we're going to just take verbs from this chapter and some other ones that are common and play around with how do I use these? And keep in mind, llego matches up with yo, but people will drop the yo. Llegamos matches up with nosotros to say we're doing it, but people will drop the nosotros. It is common to drop. We can't do this in English. Getting there at 8. Well, who's getting there at 8? You have to, in English, tell who. In Spanish, the verb by itself tells you who. It is a mind-blowing concept. So we'll plug a lot of those in and use them to say who is doing something next week. Okay? Bien?
Bien.
Bien. Okay. Bien. And the key thing is going to remember with an AR verb, and we're only going to go there with the AR verbs, we get rid of that AR first, and then we have those endings, right? And they're not masculine, feminine endings. They are who endings. They tell you who is doing something, and they'll obey certain rules because they're all going to be AR verbs. That means you're going to hear a lot of sounds in those verb endings. Bien?
Bien.
Excellent. Okay. Eso es todo. That's it. You're going to have less reading, but a lot of listening for this week. Sí? ¿Está bien? Well, I'll try to do a little bit more to give you more things with some directional things so you can hear examples and some little stories. You might hear them throw in a verb here and there, and a little bit with question words. ¿Sí? ¿Está bien?
Está bien.
Bien.
Magnífico. Ok. Y vamos a practicar la semana que viene. We'll practice next week. ¿Ok? ¿Todo bien?
Okay. Está bien.
Bueno, entonces nos vemos.
Adiós.
Nos vemos.
Gracias.
Nos vemos.
Hasta
De
luego.
nada.
Adiós.